Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiaojun in Beijing, and today we're going to be talking about Confucius, the philosopher who is recognized the world over as a symbol of Chinese culture. For thousands of years, Confucianism has been at the heart of traditional Chinese culture, exerting a powerful influence over virtually every aspect of Chinese life. Well, 2,000 years ago, at the time of the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period, a number of other schools of thought emerged. But what was it about that time that encouraged so much philosophical thought? And in today's program, we're going to find out that.
More than 2,000 years ago, a group of highly learned Chinese scholars was to have a major impact on Chinese culture from that time to the present day. These passionate, bold men examined the society, politics, economics and culture of their time and developed theoretical and practical approaches to these areas in an effort to fashion a more ideal society. The intellectual movement they launched, a milestone in human culture, initiated a Chinese Age of Reason, during which the intellectual and cultural currents of Chinese civilization were able to spring forth in a stream that has flowed without interruption to the present day. Giving a general a war horse is like giving him wings. 2,700 years ago, war horses like these ones witnessed fierce battles during extensive military campaigns. The 600 war horses buried in the tomb of King Jinggung of the state of Qi served the last potentate of the Qi dynasty during the spring and autumn period. They were part of a great army that controlled China's central plains 2,700 years ago. In the last years of the Western Zhou dynasty, the monarchs of all the dynasty's vassal states wished to rule a well-governed nation with an orderly society based on their own ideals. And with this as the aim, vast changes began to take place in the political, economic and social order. This period of adjustment lasted from 770 BC to 221 BC, the early part of which is known as the Spring and Autumn period, the latter part, the Warring States period. During this period of about 550 years, all the vassal states, of which there were many, underwent profound economic and cultural changes, and eventually 5 powerful states emerged, the states of Qi, Jin, Qin, Chu and Wu, the 5 great powers of the Spring and Autumn period. Later, these evolved into the 7 warring states of what is known as the Warring States period, the states of Chu, Han, Qi, Qin, Wei, Yan and Zhao. Throughout this long period of profound change, the direction China was heading in remained unclear, and it was during this time of uncertainty that a number of outstanding thinkers emerged.
在公元前500年前后吧，这个时候在世界上不同的地区出现了伟大的思想家。比方在希腊就出现了 这个苏格拉底、柏拉图这样一些大的思想家。在印度就出现了释迦牟尼这样伟大的思想家。在以色列这个地区就出现了当时犹太教的先知，就是旧约圣经这一部分。那么在中国就出现了老子和孔子等等。这些思想家的思想影响了人类社会2000多年，是人类社会宝贵的思想财富。
It was at this time that China entered a period of remarkable intellectual and cultural achievement, during which numerous schools of thought prospered and contended with each other. Of these, the people known as Ru, who we now refer to as Confucians, had the greatest vitality.
儒这个字是很早的字，最早呢，它是指一种对礼仪有专门了解的一个专业的人才，当时叫做术士，有术的人，那么就相当于现在的所谓这个专业的司仪一样，它是一种专业的职务。
One day, near the end of the spring and autumn period, an unknown youth weary from a long journey from his home state of Lu in present-day Shandong province arrived in the city of Luoyi, now known as Luoyang, the capital of the Eastern Zhou dynasty. This young man would later become known throughout the entire world by the name Confucius. Confucius' given name was Qiu, and he was also called Zhongni. He had studied a wide variety of subjects under a number of teachers, and he had a boundless enthusiasm for the rites and ceremonies of the Zhou dynasty. In his youth, Confucius had studied tirelessly, eagerly devouring large numbers of ancient texts. He advocated cultivating both the body and the mind, and he was more than happy to answer questions about rites and ceremonies from people who had come from miles around. Confucius had come to firmly believe that the only way to maintain social order and stability was to strictly observe the system of rites and music of the Western Zhou dynasty, and he had heard that in Luoyang there was a great scholar of outstanding character with vast knowledge of these rites and of music. He had come to Luoyang to find this scholar and study under him.
When three people are together, one of them will be my teacher. This is one of Confucius' better-known sayings, and it shows that even the great sage was willing to learn. As for this other scholar in Luoyang, who was he, and what would Confucius learn from him?
That great scholar was none other than Lao Tzu, who at the time held the position of keeper of the archives of the Zhou court. Lao Tzu, whose surname was Li and whose given name was Er, but who was also known as Lao Dan, was a man of vast learning to whom numerous young scholars came to seek guidance. When he first met Confucius, Lao Tzu enthusiastically took the young scholar to a number of centers that had been established by the various schools of thought to spread their views. And while there, Confucius personally watched the rites and ceremonies. Confucius deeply admired Lao Tzu and thought of him as a dragon in the clouds, whose head you can see, but whose tail you cannot. After he returned to the state of Lu, Confucius codified the rites of the Zhou dynasty. At a time when conflicts between quarreling princes threatened to tear apart the social fabric of the nation, he drew up a blueprint expressing his vision of an ideal world, one in which the rites and music of the Western Zhou would be revered. At the core of his vision for the foundations of society was harmonious family relations grounded on filial piety. At the same time, virtuous rule would be the basis for good government, while the aim of foreign policy would be to ensure that all states could live together in harmony. Ultimately, his system of thought centered on achieving complete harmony between the ways of heaven and the ways of man.
孔子认为这个大同社会，它应该是 天下为公的社会，不是为私的社会，它是一个天下为公的社会，它是一个选贤举能的社会，就是怎么样来，作为统治者或者作为这个领导者呢，他应该是贤能的这个人来，做这个领导者。它是一个大家都能够生活美好的社会，而且这个社会是老吾老以及人之老，幼吾幼以及人之幼的社会。就是你爱自己的亲人，那么同时也应该爱别人的亲人。
Confucius was the founder of a new school of thought that would eventually become known as Confucianism, a great intellectual force that was to preserve social stability and order in China for 2,000 years by placing overriding importance on the value of harmony.
"因为国家与国家之间的文化、价值观念等等很可能是不同的，对不对？那么怎么办啊？那我们应该按照这和而不同的原则来做，就是我们尽管有所不同，但是我们可以和谐相处，那这样就可以避免战争，可避免冲突。"
Confucius was a man with a strong sense of social responsibility and justice, and this led him to travel around the country spreading his views on government and what he believed to be proper conduct. Lao Tzu, the man Confucius most admired, also set out on a long journey, but his was one of a very different sort. He disappeared into the wilderness, never to be seen again. This is